Welcome back to the Sports Perspective. Joining me now are some members of the Ohio State rugby team. With me today we have Captain Chad Cochran, Jason Suhy, and Gareth Willatt. Okay guys, first off, I don't know if a lot of people know the ins and outs of rugby, so can you explain to our audience a little bit about the sport and how it's played?
All right, so basically it's kind of a mixture of football and soccer, whereas you're running for a constant period of time, and then you're also exerting quick bursts of energy, which we call our plays. You make tackles, everybody runs with the ball, you make kicks, but the one exception is you always have to make backwards passes. So it's almost like a continuous game of an option, of running the option in football.
Okay, so it is a physical sport then?
Yeah.
So you guys get beat up a lot?
I have 12 stitches in the last 3 games.
Wow.
No joke. But yeah, seriously.
So your medical team's pretty busy?
Yeah. Good medical staff out there. Thanks, guys.
OSU Med Center.
Yeah.
All right, and I know you guys are coming off a loss to Army where you were trailing just by 14 at the half. So what's going on in the second half in these games? Because I know you've been close in a lot of the games at the halftime. What's going on in the second half that you think you can fix maybe for the upcoming games?
It just seems like we have a bunch of mental letdowns. I can't quite put my finger on it if I could. I mean, I don't think we'd be in the situation we're in, but it just seems like we have a lot of mental breakdowns that just allow the other team to build a lead on us before we can try to make it back up.
A lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes that we're making, that we shouldn't, that we're better than making, but sometimes you get tired and then one score happens and then it just starts going downhill. So it's something we just need to work out mentally, I think, in practice this week and next week for preparation for these games. Okay,
and for instance, what are some of the things that get penalized in rugby?
Well, there's the usual things like you could think of, like, you know, aggressive plays, high tackles. But then there's other things that you might not know if you're not used to the game, such as a knock-on, which is when you drop the ball forward.
Okay.
Or, I mean, there's other things, diving over a ruck, which you might not know if you don't know the game. So there's just
mostly stuff that's dangerous for play, that's just unsafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you guys have Dartmouth coming up. What's your mindset going into that game? There's only a few games left. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what's your mindset going into Dartmouth?
I think we're sort of taking it as it's a game we have a good chance at winning if we play like we know how. You know, it's the second to last game of the year, so we're trying to put ourselves in a good position to finish out the year going strong.
Okay. And I think there's an important tryout coming up that you guys are telling me about. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, at the weekend of June 4th and 5th, there's a sevens tournament, which is a little different from the 15s team that we're representing right now. There will be tryouts for that coming up in the next few weeks, and our main goal is to get to Philadelphia, where the tournament is, for this National Collegiate Invitational. It'll be aired on NBC during that weekend, so it should bring a lot of publicity to the sport and to the team. Yeah,
I think that's the main thing, is that I don't think you guys are out there enough in the public for people to know about it. Which brings me to my next question. I know there's a 15 style of play and a 7 style of play you guys were telling me about earlier. What do you prefer? Or do you prefer one, or was one harder than the other?
I would say
seven.
Yeah,
15s
7
is physically like you get beat up because it's 80 minutes of running and tackling. But 7's cardiovascularly, you have to run so much. It sounds it's only 2 7-minute halves, so it's really not that long.
It's exhausting.
But it's like you sprint, your only break's a 30-second wrestling match,
right?
And then it's terrible sometimes. But you got to be in really good shape. All these tryouts that we do, it's nonstop running, and it's physically just really hard. So the type of athletes that you have coming out for that are usually the faster guys, more athletic guys. The big 260-pound guys we have on our team usually don't do too well in that sport, so they're more of a 15 style.
So I'm guessing you guys have pretty intense workouts before the season starts. Like, what's your workout during the season? Because it sounds like these games are pretty intense on your body physically and mentally. So what's your mindset going into your games? Like, what's the workout plan, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, we do a lot of stuff at the beginning of the week. So we play on Saturdays, and then we try to, we take off Sundays usually, and then we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of conditioning, lifting stuff earlier in the week and try to lighten it up towards the end of the week so we're not tired by the time the game time comes around.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday lifting in the morning, and then we have practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But as he said, like Tuesday and Wednesday is when we do our conditioning and heavy running, and Thursday we usually do more team practices and plays and stuff for the game preparation on Saturday.
So just one day off?
Yeah.
And good thing to remember is they are student athletes, so you're doing this with class too.
Right.
With no prior rescheduling or anything that the varsity gets too.
You don't. Oh yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to point out. You are a club sport, so you don't get priority scheduling.
No, we don't get. We have to pay dues. We have to. What else we get? Gym schedule too. We have to share with the normal student body. The field is like regulated by the sports office. So like today it rains a lot. We're not allowed to practice on it because it'll tear up the field. So it's added pressure and added responsibility, I guess, to be a club sport. Especially because some of the teams we do play as varsity or not as varsity. It's a weird gray area with rugby, but.
So is there anything you're doing now to maybe persuade OSU to make it a varsity sport, or do you guys want to become a varsity sport, right? Eventually.
Yeah, I would love to see it become a varsity sport eventually. I mean, it's not going to benefit me because my time's almost up here, but 10 years down the line, I would love to see it become a varsity sport and say I was, part of the original teams that sort of led the way in trying to do that.
The seventh tournament that we had this last summer, this will be the second one now. Actually, it had higher ratings than the NCAA lacrosse championships.
Oh,
It
wow.
had over a million viewers. Mark Cuban actually gave $20,000 to the winning school, and it's got like the top 16 schools in the country. So hopefully they can get it out, because obviously you're not going to compete with football in the fall. We know that. So in the summer, though, we know Americans like contact, so get it on, and hopefully some type of rugby become varsity eventually for that, in collegiate schools. So.
Speaking for myself, I'll admit I didn't know much about rugby, but I'm going to come watch your game. It sounds like it's physically demanding. That's something I like to watch. And, hopefully OSU will eventually make it a varsity sport. Last thing, can you tell our viewers when they can catch you guys in action here in Columbus?
Our next home game is April 30th over at Beekman Park on West Campus. It'll be our last game of the season. It's against Rutgers University.
Oh, nice.
So it should be a good time.
Right. Anything else you guys want to put out there?
The game's at 7:30, I think, too, at night.
So it's a night game,
7:30.
so under the lights.
Yeah,
so even
so
better.
Under the lights.
Nice.
So
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And we'll be back in just a quick break.